Friday. Bobby Fye and Eric Sheetable. We're going to be talking through this MLB 13-game slate. It's a monster one. I'm going to preface this with I don't believe that we're going to have somebody for live. There's a chance if I'm able to, I will absolutely be here and do a live show. But it's looking like it might be a little bit tough today. So I don't think a whole lot's going to change. The only thing we've got is like a questionable on one weather thing. So I feel pretty good about what I would want to do today. And I just want to give a heads up that I don't think we'll be able to be live at 6 Eastern, but again, we might surprise you. Just want to set the expectations.
Well, let's talk about yesterday for a second.
Let's talk about it.
Okay. So as I mentioned, I was going into the city, so I was only going to play the early slate. I wasn't going to be around for the later one, but I was on my way in. I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to build one fucking lineup, okay? Because I want to go after Carlos Rodon because he sucks, okay? And I want to do other stuff. And I built one lineup. And I will show you how we did. Okay, you ready? All right. Okay. Nope. One lineup right here.
Are you serious?
This is one lineup. I put in the 888, the 555, the ball 4, and the bat flip.
Oh my God. Let's go.
It was all of the Springer, all the anti-Rodon people.
That is wild.
And dude, I was the only one. If Abbott could have done anything, you know what I mean? Like I would have won all of it.
Oh man! Oh,
everybody had Flaherty, so it didn't really make a difference. Yeah. But yeah, this was I didn't use the projections or anything. I just went right in there, and this was it. And excuse me, and I had Tyler Stevenson not play. And I lost by 7 points. I mean, better than 10. I mean, for real. I mean, like,
oh, dude, that's amazing. I love it.
Yep.
That's incredible. Reminds me of my good old days.
Right, and we'll do something else here. I also put in before I went to sleep last night. I put in some League of Legends stuff. And what did we do in League of Legends? We had what they call a clean sweep.
Love it.
We won the 333, which is the big buy-in. We won the qualifier, 1 of 12. That's my 6th seat to that. Yeah. And we won the lottery for like 50% of money. So no rest for the theory. We're hot. We're hot.
Love it.
We're hot. So
I love it, man. That's awesome.
And again, I said this before, so who knows? I doubt I'll be able to play at least too much next. I'm in the city. I don't know if I have time to rerun stuff. It is a big slate though, so you never know if I might fire something. We'll see. But at least I do projections, and I'm able to at least analyze what's going on here.
No, that's awesome, man. That's really cool. I love it when the sheet single entry thing comes through.
Yes, that's it. Just totally ungut. I'm like, give me all the anti-Carlos Rodon. And
we talked about it, and I was excited at first. I saw it, but I was like, wait a minute, I didn't play it. I don't think Sheets played. I didn't even know. Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah. I didn't have it in me to go for the Angels, which is the other thing I wanted to do. But it turns out it was better to take Cincinnati and the 1 million fantasy points for them.
Yeah. Oh, man, that's awesome.
So what, are you going to share your scrend? Is that what we're going to do?
Oh, I can share my screen. Yeah, let's do that. Okay. All right, let me just move one thing around, and then we will get into game by game. Do want to remind everybody that we are, again, very limited time on this on the free trial that's been taken advantage by everybody. We're going to cancel it probably next week, maybe right after the 4th. But you guys take a shot at that. It's a $300 free trial for a week, and it's got everything on SaberSim's Ultimate Package as well as all of our information. Gives you an idea of what we're doing, and I think you guys will enjoy it. So I would hope you guys would check it out. All right, so we're going to share my screen over here, and I am going to go game by game. So we're going to start with Texas-Baltimore. Do you want to start off, Sheets, just because I'm kind of bouncing around here?
So if I'm not mistaken, so Texas-Baltimore, I don't have either of the pitchers in my list here, really. So, I have Scherzer. Okay, so Scherzer, I have him as almost unplayable. So. Yeah. I don't know what that's all about, but maybe he's just make his first start back or something like that.
It is. But the weird part is that they've still got him. We've got him projected at still 87 pitches, which is not nothing.
That's kind of strange.
So, but I do think that with a guy like him, he does tend to pitch. When he's had injuries in the past, he does tend to come out and fire more. little bit, go a little deeper than most guys. That's just who he is as a pitcher. He doesn't like being taken off the mound, and he screams at the manager. Yeah, so I mean, go ahead.
Who's it against? Texas against who?
It's Texas, Baltimore.
Yeah, I'm getting nothing from this game, either hitting or pitching.
Yeah, I don't really have an interest in the. I think Scherzer is an interesting guy to consider for like as take a shot on, just because he can be electric, and we don't know what he's going to look like coming after this. Maybe just a gambling shot. I think it might be worth it. And I don't actually mind some bats from Texas, but I think that there's just better spots on the slate overall to get to.
Is there any big weather issues that you know of tonight?
It's the White Sox and Colorado is the one that seems the most dangerous at the moment.
Wait, those two play each other?
The White Sox and Colorado. I know, it's like how you have to take the pitchers on both sides. How do you do it?
That's funny. Or they're hitting on both sides.
Yeah, exactly. I guess you just only use that game and hope the weather holds.
Oh my God.
All right, so Yankees in Toronto, Kikuchi and Stroman. This I'm curious if you have anything here because I don't think I'm really all that interested in anything, although I could definitely be talked into a Yankees stack.
Yeah, I don't have Stroman as usual, doesn't project very well in fantasy. I have Kikuchi as, whatever would have him ranked, like 10th on the slate, 9th or 10th, so not really. Although that was the other decision I almost made. Instead of going with the Abbott, I was going to go with the Berrios, which would have I think that would have done the trick. But whatever. As far as hitting goes, I'm not actually getting too much of anything. Like if any of this, it would probably be Yankees, I suppose. But I'm probably going to end up agreeing that both pitchers are good enough to keep the other hitters off my ass, and both sets of bats are good enough to keep the pitchers from my lineups as well.
Yeah, I think that's sort of where I'm at as well. Yeah. So all right, moving along then. Let's talk about the Mets and Houston. I always like to make these big slates smaller, but I do think there's a lot of fringy guys to consider. Like the Kikuchi thing crossed my mind. The Yankees crossed my mind. By the way, even if you don't play the Yankees, Judge is just on a whole different tear right now. If you have like a one-off thing to try to get Judge or Ohtani, is probably just the right thing to do every night. These guys are literally just put up like 30 every day, it feels like. All right, Blanco and Quintana. What are your thoughts on this one, Sheets?
I mean, I'm just passing. I mean, I don't really have much of anything here. Either sets of bats or either pitcher.
Yeah, I think we're in agreement. Look, and we might be just steamrolling through, but like I said, I like to make these slates small. If Blanco was a little cheaper, and maybe I'd have a little more interest. And I think that he's like playable, but I just think that there's other spots I'd rather play, and nothing that really stands out. So happy to move on to a game that's looks pretty shaky right now, whether or not it's going to play. And Drew Thorpe certainly would have been a guy I would be wanting to play here. Assuming that all was good. It's actually like there's wind blowing in from right field today. It is 80 degrees, but I would like Drew Thorpe and I would like the White Sox if this game is a full go, but I would not risk it if it wasn't. But I'm okay with taking shots with the White Sox against Hudson too.
Yeah, this is an interesting one because, well, first of all, I agree. I have Thorpe listed as like 4th overall. Kind of tied for 4th and 5th for me. But the Dakota Hudson versus Rockies experience is very interesting because versus the White Sox experience. Very interesting because remember the White Sox, I mean, they could be the worst. The Rockies might be the worst, but the White Sox could be the worst.
Right.
And the thing is though, is that as we've also discussed, like Hudson's been I like to say he's just been walking through the raindrops, avoiding getting crushed. So I don't have it in me to do the Hudson. If anything, like you said, if this game plays, I think you could just go ahead and probably play the White Sox, I guess. But I'm looking at my projections, and the projections are not necessarily agreeing with me. So I don't know what to make of all this. I'll probably end up hoping the game rains out and pass.
Yeah, and I don't think it's like a must play by any means. And Hudson's been around the plate and all that stuff. He just hasn't. It's just. I mean, I even thought for a second about playing Hudson because the cheap price, but like it's just there's just no upside. Like he just doesn't strike anybody out. But I do like if the game was a full go, I do think the Thorpe thing, whether or not I played the White Sox, is definitely something I would consider doing personally. All right, moving over to Boston and San Diego. I think there's some stuff to like here. Sheets, what do you got here?
I promise you guys I'm going to like some stuff like later. I'm looking. It's just funny. I'm actually just looking at my sheets here. I'm not even looking at the slate. So like I'm waiting for you to come up with a name or a team that's up here on my board here. But so you have Boston with Pivetta against who?
San Diego.
Yeah. So I have Pivetta is again, unfortunately, like way down the list. I mean, maybe 12th or something like that, which is kind of crazy. And who's pitching for San Diego?
Vasquez.
Yeah, and I'm really not getting much of him at all. So I don't know. I don't know what to say except for the fact that I'm getting other guys a little bit better. But on the hitting side, I'm seeing Boston as one of the higher rated stacks. Not so much from a value perspective, but just on the ability to put up fantasy points here. So I do like Boston. And that's pretty much it.
Yeah, I really like Boston for what it's worth. As you can see, the ownership's Goldie's. I mean, these are initial projections, but Sabersim's got him a little lower. Goldie's got him a little bit higher. I tend to trust Goldie's when it comes to the ownership here. And this feels like a really good spot to attack. And I'm pretty sure Boston would is going to end up in my at least top 5, maybe even higher. I really like them here. San Diego does have a good bullpen, but this is a huge park downgrade for San Diego's pitching side. And obviously, it's in Boston. It's 73 degrees, and it's not like the greatest hitting weather we've seen lately there, but it's good enough, and the matchup is good enough. It's just a decent bullpen from San Diego is the only thing that worries me. And I know they haven't been as good this year, but they have some decent arms in the bullpen. But I'm on the Boston side of that one. All right, so let's see. I'm trying to look at who the pitcher is for this game for sure. I've got Perez here, but then they've got because he's coming back from the injured list, I think. Okay, so we've got Perez. So this is the Braves and Pirates, Perez and Morton. I guess I'll go real quick on this one. Morton, I think, is completely reasonable, but it feels maybe like, I don't know. I don't want to say overowned, but because he's the first guy. There's a lot of guys who are questionable, to be on the slate. I like Morton. He's got a long leash. You can see the K expected around 6. That's not bad. And 90s, always expected to throw high 90s amount of pitches. I like that. And I like look, Perez, the guy I used to talk about not stacking as much against. The Braves at home at low ownership are certainly on the list for me. I don't know that I want to fully stack them, but man, they've got some cheap pieces. They're facing, Perez coming off of an injury. I think this is a spot where I could consider playing them. So that's just me personally. But I'm not sure. Oh, you know what? He's not coming out there. He pitched the one. No, he didn't. He came back and then got hurt again. That's right. Against the same team. So I like the idea of Atlanta a little bit, and I like the idea of Pivetta. I'm sorry, of
Morton. I agree with pretty much everything you said. I have Morton is kind of like my 5th best pitcher, 5th or 6th, something like that. And it's not like he's getting low ownership or anything like that. So I guess he's just kind of a play. And Atlanta, yeah, I mean, they got to score eventually, I guess. I don't know. But yeah, I do like Atlanta. I have them rated, top 5 for sure. And I don't have them particularly high owned relative to some of these others. So I think I'm kind of in lockstep with you. I do like Morton a little bit, and I definitely think that Atlanta is one of the top stacks. Yep.
All right, we'll move over to Cleveland and Kansas City. I'm just double checking here. Yeah, it does look like another great hitting. I don't know what's happening in Kansas City this year. It's really hot every day, and the wind's always blowing out like 10 miles an hour. So it's 87 wind, 10 miles an hour to left field. Also very humid. And we've got McKenzie and Marsh. Sheets, what do you think of this one?
Yeah, it's the new Coors, right? I mean, I don't know. Yeah, I like both sets of bats here. I have KC and Cleveland. I have them just on value. I have them rated 2-3. Both of them. I mean, Kansas City 2, Cleveland 3. And as far as even just raw points, I have Cleveland number 1, and then KC. So stack it up, I guess.
Yep. Yeah, this is interesting because, so first of all, I'm just going to show you, I don't know what the K prop is, but when you show a 3.97 expected strikeout rate for McKenzie, that's probably egregious, that number. That seems completely that's like counting on him getting just crushed. Because even when McKenzie, like he's had games where he's given up like 7 runs, 3 home runs, 4 home runs, and he still has like 9 strikeouts. Like he always is going to get more than, unless he gets knocked out in the first couple innings, he's almost always going to be better than a strikeout per inning guy. So I like that as a prop bet, just throwing that out there. I don't think I can play him in DFS. Definitely don't think I can play Marsh. And because McKenzie's a fly ball guy, and like he gives up so many home runs, it's really hard not to prioritize like at least getting to some KC who's been letting everybody down on a day where no one is going to play them, or at least they're not going to get played like they have been getting played. And so I've got KC and Cleveland in play, but I think KC is the side that I like better. And not getting to the pitching, but I do like that prop on McKenzie. And by the way, I did think about as a get wild play. If you got in 150, you got to him like a couple percent. I wouldn't get rid of it. I think there's absolutely a chance he could have a breakout game against a team like this that swings early and counts. The problem is he gives up too many fly balls, and you put him in those kind of hitting conditions. It's gonna be tough. It's why he gives up like 3 home runs a game. All right, Milwaukee and Chicago.
Milwaukee and the Cubs.
Ray and Tyon.
I have neither of these pitchers even like touching my board, so I really don't like any of them. As far as hitting, it's just odd for me to have like just no interest in the pitching and no interest in the hitting. So let me just double check that. Yeah, the game just almost doesn't exist on my sheets.
Yeah, I'm sort of hate to agree on everything, but I kind of agree here. Like I don't really know, what I would want. I don't hate the idea if like you say, with your builds, if I ended up with the Cubs, I wouldn't hate it. And if I ended up with like 5% Tyon, I might hate that. No, I think I would actually consider Tyon if I was like, at least getting over the field if I was playing a 150. So that's the way I'm looking at it anyway. I don't really think it's a priority game, but definitely I wouldn't mind any of those pieces. All right, Montas and Palante in St. Louis.
Montas is 6,500. I mean, I guess that's reasonable. Less than 10% ownership. It's not like a top priority or anything like that, but I wouldn't mind that. The St. Louis guy, I don't even have anywhere, so I don't know what to make of him. I do.
The other night. Did you notice the other night with Liberatore? Literally,
Liberatore smashed everybody's soul. I know.
Yeah, like everybody's like, "Oh, you can't. He's unplayable. We don't even know how many pitches he throws," including me. But everybody said that. And he goes out and puts up the biggest number of the night.
I promise you, I'll have some better pitching options soon, but nothing really in St. Louis. No. So maybe some Montas and nothing else for me this game.
Yeah, I like the Montas play, actually. I mean, first of all, the thing that scares me, though, is the weather there. Like, man, it's 90 degrees again, 10-mile-an-hour winds blowing out to left. I mean, you can see it. The home run totals are climbing. The run score totals are climbing. It's a totally different game than it was early in the season. And a lot of it has to do with this great hitting weather that we're having because it's so hot everywhere. Man, but I still think I could talk myself into Montas. I mean, I also like the over on that K prop. St. Louis is not scary enough to me, and Montas is just cheap enough. So I am into the idea of Montas, and I don't mind the Reds. I think the Reds are very reasonable here, but not a priority below KC and Boston, but just in that next tier for me. The Reds, I like the way that they score. They have power, and they got guys who will just run every time. So or some guys that will just run every time, which I like. All right, Detroit in Anaheim.
So here we go. So it's Detroit free square season, I guess. Not actually free squares, but they're all so freaking cheap. I mean, these guys are showing up as the top value for me. I mean, between Cole Keith at 2,600, Justin Henry Malloy outfield 2,200, Zach McKinstry 2,100. These guys are all just kind of like making these Detroit value stacks very, very appealing in lineups where you want to maybe double pay up for pitching. So definitely like that. I'm not getting really to too much Maeda. I have him like around the Pivetta, Blanco, area, maybe like 10th best or something like that. And who's Detroit playing?
The Angels.
Yeah, I'm not really seeing much on the Angel side, either pitching or hitting really. So Detroit value for the loss, I guess.
It's really tricky with Maeda for me always because I always remember him as the pitcher that he was a really good pitcher for us for a long time. And he still shows like it sometimes, but then he always gets hurt in the middle of games. Like I don't want to use him. I was just sort of thinking about stacking the Angels. I like both sides of this a little bit, to be honest.
Right.
I think the natural side is the Detroit. It does feel wrong a little bit if Detroit ends up like the most popular stack on a 13-game slate. Something probably is wrong there.
Yeah, I guess so.
But I just in terms of raw stacks, I think I think both of these are very reasonable, and I quite like the Angels stack. They're cheap enough. Should have Sano in there hitting home runs again, and I love that guy. They're super. Yeah, I think that both of these teams, and this is probably the next most desirable after Boston and KC of all the teams we've talked about in terms of stacking. So, Please X's been terrible, so I get it. Let's play Detroit, but also let's consider the Angels here. And I say that about the hitting, but the truth is, let me just look at this real quick. Look at there's nobody projected to be exceptionally owned. Now we know it's going to congregate towards something, but it's not like any hitting stacks that you totally want to avoid. It just feels a little funny that Detroit might be the most popular full stack on a 13 gamer. Anyway, all right, we move on to Oakland and Arizona.
Yeah,
go ahead.
Yeah, so the Ciccone looks to be a pretty good value here. I have him rated third overall. 15% ownership seems reasonable enough against in this matchup. So I definitely like the Arizona side. As far as the pitching there. As far as the hitting goes, I actually have Arizona rated pretty nicely on that side of the plate as well. So I do like Arizona, and I do like the Ciccone.
Okay, I'm going to suggest this is my terrible take if you want to say anything here. My terrible take is and I'm not going to play him, but I'm just going to throw it. I think JP Sears is a better play than Ciccone. Look, I know Ciccone's had a couple of good starts. He's mostly been dreadful. The one thing that's tough about, because I was going to suggest stacking against him with the A's. The only problem that's tough is he doesn't really walk anybody, and that's really hard to stack against. And I think that the A's, though, so I have the A's. My note is the A's mini stack is what I'd be looking at. And you've got, the king of the free world, as you would say, Tyler Soderstrom, batting cleanup at 2,700. Sounds good to me. I'm in on this. So I like the A's mini. It probably favorites being Soderstrom, Langoliers, and depending on where the order is, probably like to get somebody else cheap. You might even get Butler in there cheap. You might get Nevin higher in the order. So I like the idea of getting to some Oakland, and I'm not going to play JP Sears, but something about the perception. I don't know what's happened to him this year. I know he's been really struggled lately, but I think he's a better pitcher than what. Well, he goes through these stretches. He's just streaky, I guess. But 5,600, I wouldn't cross it off in the lottery. Put it that way. All right, Minnesota and Seattle, which is. Let me just grab all my notes here. It's a big slate. Logan Gilbert, Bailey Ober. I think this is going to be two of the most popular pitchers of the slate, right?
Yes. I have these as basically my top two. So Logan and Logan Gilbert and Bailey Ober. I have them 1, 2 in no particular order. Actually, technically Gilbert I have better. So Gilbert 1, Ober 2, and I guess none of the hitting.
Interesting. They've got to be very efficient based on the numbers they're getting projected based on these number of pitches. It's just interesting to look at. I think I've got Gilbert as number one in terms of just guys who I feel the safest with. I think Ober has plenty of upside, and I think that I will probably be heavily invested in both of them if I am able to play tonight. But I like Gilbert a little bit better, but he's a little more expensive. So if you need the money, no problem with Ober. I think this is two very, very logical guys to use on this slate where there's not
any issues, giving up the win with one of these guys.
Playing them against you on this slate, probably not actually. It's a huge slate, so I would usually want to, but I actually don't think I would have an issue today.
Okay.
Just because the way it's broken out. I mean, you see Logan Webb looking at double-digit ownership against the Dodgers. That's got to tell you that there's not like a whole lot of arms you feel all that comfortable with. Anyway.
Is that the last game?
Yeah, I think that's the last game. Yeah, Dodgers in San Francisco.
Yeah. So this fills in the pitching, right? So I have Webb, like, just, I guess, to wrap up, so I have Gilbert and Ober tied for 1-2. Then I have the Ciccone value, and then the Thorpe if he plays, then Morton, and then is the Logan Webb, who is, he's below these guys. But like you said, this is testament to how kind of the pitching is. That Logan Webb is going to be double-digit owned against the Dodgers. He's not going to be that owned, though. He's like going to be 11, 12%, something like that.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I think I'd rather play Morton, I guess, at the same price.
Mm-hmm.
That's my instinct there. As far as the hitting goes, I don't know who's pitching for the Dodgers here. Anybody?
Landon Knack, so he's the rookie guy, but he's not like, I don't think you'd really want to play him. But yeah. I will suggest that I think playing some Giants makes some sense.
Yeah, so I'm looking at the projections here, and I'm not really seeing too much love for Dodgers or San Francisco here. So for me, it would be maybe some Logan Webb, but I'm kind of inclined to just let the game go.
Yeah, I get it. I personally I think Knack is fine, but I have a feeling tonight about, and then look, what a gross person I am. I really, if I play tonight, I'm going to try and get in a Giant stack. I really think I might, though. I think there's upside for them here.
You're not a gross person.
No, I mean, just for I don't think anybody's going to play the Giants, and it doesn't. I think it's worth taking a shot against a rookie pitcher who, the Giants can make you work, and there's a couple power bats in there that, and it's finally crept out of the 50s. It's 60 degrees in San Francisco.
There you go.
And by the way, also at the same time, again, lottery, I would consider using the Dodgers, but I wouldn't be playing them in anything of high buy-in, small field, or anything like that as of right now. But I do think I like the San Francisco side a little bit. My priorities for the slate, I think the pitchers for me that I like the most are Morton, Montas, Gilbert, and Ober. I think the hitting, Boston, KC, Detroit value. I like the Angels, San Francisco, and LA, and the Dodgers. If I do play tonight, I will try to keep an eye on what's happening and be able to make a swap, because I like these late stacks, and I think it gives you an opportunity to maybe play a little bit of the more chalky ones. I can decide to pivot off of my maybe Detroit, Angels thing to say, I don't know, or my San Francisco to Detroit if my Morton and Montas both get there early, that kind of thing.
Yep.
All right, man. Well, anything else before we get out of here?
I guess a couple of random announcements. Again, I don't know when when the Truck Series race is. I know Brandon's probably going to go do something for that. The Truck Series race is at 8. I don't know where he's going live. Maybe a Brandon go live with the baseball too. He's going to do trucks. I don't know. So I'm out for live today. The next time you guys will see. Well, I'm going to hopefully do an MMA betting breakdown video here from the office, and then maybe do a lineup construction video maybe later today if I can get the Sims working by the time I have to leave. If not, maybe I'll do that in the morning. I'll try to get some projections up. I'll be able to probably get some projections up during the course of the weekend, and then I will definitely be back on Monday for full stuff.
Sweet. Yeah. Say I'm still figuring out my schedule, but I may surprise and pop in for a live show just to go over the final stuff, but I'm not sure I'm gonna be able to make it as well. But I'll be in and out over the next little period, but I'm gonna do my best. All right, guys. Thanks so much. Good luck.